It's great to be with you guys today. My name is Bradley Braingardner. I am the manager of talent outreach and engagement, working very closely with our Live in Lieu talent attraction initiative, with City Champs being a big part of that talent attraction initiative as well. So we're excited to have you guys on today. We want to make this as engaging and informal as possible. I mean, normally we would have this training take place at GLI and our offices, and it's more of a good opportunity to meet one another and spend some time in person. But obviously, we're not able to do so this year. But we still think it's going to be a great training virtually. We're going to be hearing from LMPD, JCPS, the Center for Neighborhoods. And I just asked that if you guys could try to participate as much as possible during some of these discussions and activities. If you could try to keep your cameras on and engage, we would greatly appreciate that. But with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started with our PowerPoint here. I'm going to be speaking for the majority of the first part, so you may get sick of my voice, but we'll get started here. First, we're going to talk about working in Louisville, and I want to start off by talking about what Greater Louisville Inc., what the Chamber of Commerce does. So the Chamber of Commerce, GLI is our region's Chamber of Commerce. Everything we do has a focus on growing and elevating our regional economy. We're an investor-driven organization, and we serve as the convener in the business community, really working to help bridge gaps and facilitate connections between business, higher education, workforce development organizations, all within the Greater Louisville region. So with growing the regional economy as our main goal, we have a number of different areas of focus within our organization that we do to help achieve this. So the first of which is our advocacy and government relations pillar. We have a government relations team that lobbies for investor needs to our Metro Chamber, or to our Metro Council, to our legislature in Frankfort and Indianapolis, as well as on the federal level in Washington, D.C. We also have an economic development pillar, which primarily focus on general business attraction and expansion opportunities within our region. And we also have our talent and workforce pillar. It's very closely connected with economic development, but our talent attraction and workforce pillars focus primarily on general talent attraction, retention, and development efforts within our region. And then lastly, inclusion is an important pillar with GLI. We really are focused on helping Louisville build a foundation of equity and inclusion for all people within our community. So the next slide showcases the map. When I talk about the Greater Louisville region, I'm talking about a bi-state region. So we've got Kentucky and Southern Indiana. We serve 10 counties on the Kentucky side, on the south side of the Ohio River, and then 5 counties in Southern Indiana. So we are not just focused on Jefferson County and on the city of Louisville, but we feel that we are stronger as a region together. Within this region, we have 3 river ports, 8 airports, 2 mega sites, 3 major interstates that run through the region, 48 plus business and industrial parks, and hundreds of miles of railroads and roadways. When you talk about the kind of the bread and butter of Louisville's economy, we really are focused on 5 key business sectors as well. So these 5 business sectors really propel our economy forward, and that includes healthcare and health innovation, hospitality in the food and beverage industry, which fortunately has taken a big hit in COVID, but it's a strong industry and it'll come back better than ever before. General business services. So what I mean by that is, accounting, lawyers, anything that generally would fall under business services is a major driver in our economy. But then also logistics and e-commerce, as well as advanced manufacturing. This really is the bread and butter when you're thinking about the economy in that 15 county region. So to help foster economic growth, we focus a lot of our attention on developing our workforce to ensure that our region is prepared to meet the demands of the 21st century. We do this in a number of different ways with workforce in mind. We focus heavily on the academies of Louisville and supporting those efforts. We host many workforce related events throughout the year to help bridge the gaps between business and higher education and some of our workforce assets in our region. As well, we're working very hard on developing a really innovative initiative known as the Career Acceleration Network, where we're in the process of bringing entry level and secondary employers, bringing them together to create pathways of upward mobility for many of our frontline workers. So that's kind of the main focus of the work that we do in our workforce sector. Here you see a general map of Louisville's peer cities. So in addition to focusing on upskilling and developing our existing residents and workforce, GLI is extremely focused on attracting outside talent to our region. As you can see from this graph, for the better part of, I'd say, about 2 decades, Louisville has lagged in population growth when we compare ourselves to our peer cities. And by peer cities, I'm talking about Cincinnati and Nashville, Columbus, Raleigh, Indianapolis. We've consistently been ranking near the top of the bottom third in population growth for the past few decades. And that's not a place that we want to be. So we know that Louisville is not growing fast enough on its own. And as the convener of the business community, GLI has been stepping up in recent years to address this problem. Hence, the Live in Lieu Talent Attraction and Retention Initiative was created to better inform individuals interested in relocating to Louisville and to help employers attract outside talent and really give them the tools necessary, needed to help paint our city in a positive light. So, based on survey results and various data and insights that we've collected over the years, we've learned that the easiest place to pull talent from is within a 200 to 500 mile radius of Louisville. And we're very fortunate because Louisville is a very centralized city within our country. We're in a very close proximity to a number of major cities and metropolitan areas. So we've got that going for us. So when Live in Lieu was developed, our goal was to target individuals between the ages of 25 and 54. And based on the insights and data we've obtained through research, through IQS research, and other findings we've collected over the year, we found that there are a lot of commonalities between those aged 25 to 34 and those 35 to 54. A lot of commonalities there, which when it comes to them finding a job and their interest in relocating to a city. You wouldn't necessarily think people that are 27 years old would have a whole lot in common with those, in their 50s when it comes to, what's important to them when moving or relocating to a city. But there are a lot of commonalities. And these commonalities include, wanting to live in a city that is suitable for raising a family, having the ability to make a difference in the community that you live in, but also most importantly, the availability of good jobs and opportunities within a region. So therefore, all of Live in Lieu's creative messaging passes through a lens of, does it speak to the availability of good jobs, the ability to make a difference, and is it suitable for raising children and raising a family? So our Live in Lieu initiative engages in a number of different strategies to help us sell our city. Our website, liveinlieu.com, has recently undergone a major brand refresh and has been updated to ensure that employers and job seekers, as well as prospective new residents, have all of the tools they need to get a good flavor of our region. We also conduct targeted regional marketing campaigns. And without getting too much in the weeds here, as Christine knows, we could talk about targeted regional marketing campaigns for quite a lot of time. But essentially, it's where we work with specific businesses and employers to promote their job opportunities via a marketing campaign, while also looping in Louisville into that marketing message to potential candidates that live outside of our region. We also have very robust social media platforms that have experienced tremendous growth in recent years. I believe in 2019, we've experienced over 1,000% in follower growth on our social media channels from the previous year. And we served over 11 million impressions across all social media channels. So it's pretty impressive. We also do a lot of targeted employer and university outreach. And then lastly, we have our City Champs ambassadors, who really are, gurus of all things Louisville. And we lean on you guys to help speak to new and prospective residents and help get them acclimated to the city. This next slide just showcases some screen grabs of our social media platforms, as well as sort of the look and feel of our Live in Lou website. If you don't already, and I hope all of you do, please follow us on social media at Live in Lou. We have a great Instagram and Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, lots of great options. So give us a follow, pull out your phone and follow us now if you haven't already. But next,
hey,
I do want to get yes.
Can I segue into, we just recently lost our digital marketing manager who creates all of our content for Live in Lou's social channels. So if any of you are interested in applying for that position, you're actively looking for it right now, you can go to liveinlou.com, click on jobs, and then you'll find it. It's a featured listing right at the top. Please feel free to apply.
Good plug there, Christine. And likewise, if you guys have any friends that you know of who are digital marketing experts, we had a big loss when we lost our colleague Megan. She went over to Humana, but we are looking for a digital marketing manager, and it's a fun, cool job. But so next, I'm going to talk to you guys about the city being a City Champs ambassador. So like I said, we consider you guys to be gurus of all things Louisville related. So some simple rules of engagement in being a city champ include, but are not limited to, we want you guys to represent our city, genuinely and positively. We want you to be an advocate for Greater Louisville, and most importantly, to be a solid resource for new and prospective residents. Provide a good, non-biased third-party perspective and share your unique experiences to these individuals. But a big rule that I did want to point out is, I know many of you guys are, realtors or in insurance or all the industries you may be in. We ask that you please don't sell your services, sell, your company's services, et cetera. That's just kind of a no-no that we'd really like you guys not to do, because most importantly, you're there to be an advocate for prospective residents. So just wanted to mention that real quick. But so as a city champ, when engaging with prospective or new residents, it's important to listen and to understand who you're talking to. Each individual that you connect with is going to be unique, and therefore learning as much as possible about that individual up front will allow you to offer the best advice possible. It's important to remember that relocating to a city, it can be stressful. It's never easy. So just trying to relate to them on a human level and be a good, solid resource for them is super important. One thing I also want to mention is there are a lot of employers that use City Champs as a recruiting tool. So at times you may be contacted by one of our regional employers, and they may ask you to connect with a prospective new resident. There are a number of employers currently who utilize the City Champs program in their recruiting efforts, because City Champs are able to offer a unique and third-party perspective to prospective residents, to prospective hires. They can answer questions that HR may not know the answer to, or perhaps they may not be comfortable, talking about. So if the situation does happen to you, we ask that you please be as responsive as possible to the employer. And if you have any personal feelings about that particular employer, we ask that you keep those opinions to yourself as well, as another little rule of engagement there. But you'll be receiving many questions from prospective residents. That could range from them asking you, what are the neighborhoods like in Louisville? They may talk to you about various Kentucky stereotypes that perhaps exist, or what schools are good schools? Where should I send my child to school? There's many different topics that you may be approached on from these individuals. So we ask that you just give them your honest feedback and paint Louisville in a positive light. It's also important to know that new residents have different needs. So being able to assist them with their needs will be huge and an invaluable asset. In some cases, you may not know the answer, but if you could just point them in the right direction, that goes a long way as well. And most importantly, don't forget that we live in a broad region. It's not just Louisville. It's not just Jefferson County. So don't forget about some of our other county friends and partners within the greater Louisville region. So next, I'd like to, if you guys could unmute, we're going to do a little bit of an activity here. I'd like everyone to maybe go around and mention your favorite restaurant. And the goal would be not to repeat do not repeat any restaurant that has already been named. So Christine, lead us off. Put you on the spot.
Okay, that's easy for me. My favorite restaurant is 211 Clover Lane. I got married at that restaurant. We rented it out and I got married there, and it's my favorite place in the city.
Awesome. John Lanas.
I'm going to go, different John.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Fork and Barrel. Good friends with Chef Jeffrey Heidi, and he's got a new place opening up called Morning Fork.
Jeff is great, and Fork and Barrel is a great restaurant, and I'm super excited about his new venture. So glad you named that one. John Lanas.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan, and I'm in close proximity to Chicken and Me over here in the Clifton neighborhood. It's a little Asian fusion food, but excellent if you haven't tried it.
Very cool. Edward, did you get your volume?
I think so. Can you hear me now?
Oh, we hear you. Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I've been here since '99, and I live actually in the St. Matthews area. We have we don't have as many restaurants except on Shelbyville Road, but Luvino is really good. We've been there many times. It's a great restaurant. We've got one that's I think near, I'd probably say out more east side of Shelbyville Road that I go to regularly, and it's a great place.
Very cool. Rose, you want to go ahead and give us your favorite restaurant?
Sure. Well, I love to eat, so this is easy. In Louisville, it's Gasthaus German restaurant off of Brownsboro Road. And Indiana, since that's where I live, Pints and Union.
Awesome. John Weber, you already went. Tina, what's your favorite restaurant?
My favorite restaurant is the Cafe. Probably the best Bloody Mary you can find, and their new building is fantastic. So,
Hey, Bradley,
Yes.
chat down off of your screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad.
Hey, sorry everybody, but we have two people that are trying to get into the meeting, and so apparently we declined their acceptance into the group, so we're trying to get that figured out right now too.
Let's see. Christine, unfortunately, I'm not seeing that they're waiting in the waiting room. Would it be possible are they actively trying to get on right now, or is there a way to
I sent them the link, but Caleb sent me a screen cap back that said you're unable to rejoin this meeting because you were previously removed by the host.
Very interesting.
I'll work with Sydney to see if we can get it done.
Technology, it's just something we always have to navigate in this crazy COVID world. Devin, you want to go ahead and give us your favorite restaurant?
Sure, I'm going to do the same, both sides of the river. Over in Louisville, these guys got me through the early days in quarantine. Butchertown Grocery. I can't say enough good things about those guys, just the quality of food and how responsive they are and good community players. And over here in Southern Indiana, it just happens to be a restaurant that's on the way from my office to home, and they also happen to have 100 beers on tap. So it's a good place to stop by. They're called Harbor and Hops over here near River Ridge. So recommend them as well.
Very good. Very good. Amy Olds.
I love Decca in Nulu, the best patio, I think, in the city. So that's definitely my favorite.
I would agree. It is a phenomenal patio.
Beautiful.
Jafis.
So that's an easy for me. I like to eat. I've been to almost every single restaurant you guys mentioned. I agree. Butchertown Grocery is really up there, especially with Bobby Benjamin driving that business. But I would say one notable one to mention is Modzapai in Anchorage. The chef and artisan Tom Edwards. He's a true artisan. Some of the best pizza your money can buy in the state and possibly in the country.
I would agree 100%. It is phenomenal, phenomenal pizza. I only wish their hours were better so you could go at all times of the day.
Now they open till 7 or 8 in the evening.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, they've changed from that 11 to 2 pizza. Yeah,
That's good to know.
And they roast great coffee. They make great bread. Excellent cookies. Wonderful Neapolitan pizza. Definitely worth a try if you haven't been. For anybody.
Awesome, awesome. Amy Jewell, have you gone?
No, and now that you all brought up pizza, the Post has been where we've been going to the Post a lot over quarantine, and then also Simply Thai is a good one.
Very much so. Thomas.
I really like the Fishery in St. Matthews. I love the Louisville style fried fish sandwiches, and I'm addicted to theirs. So I go there at least once or twice a week.
Tanel.
I'm stressed. I've been stressed this whole time. I really have a favorite restaurant in Louisville. Only, I think, 2 reasons. Like, I really love to cook, and I only like to go places that I like. There's something I can't make there. But then also, I don't like to do things twice. So like, we try to eat something different every single time. So I really don't have like a fan favorite. I think I have like a go-to for something in particular, but I don't really have a favorite. Sorry to be that person, but I don't. And
Too many good options.
Yeah, there's so many good options. That's true. But I feel like I have like a favorite of the week, and then I've moved on. Like to
Love it. Jill, what about you? Oh, sorry to know.
No, you're good.
Yeah, for me, this is a loaded question because I'm over here with the rest of the city champs, and I figured with this answer I need to just grow up because I'm still thinking about how I love Tally Ho. I'm going to Lexington back on 2 Keys days in college. But seeing that I have to be an adult here, I'm going to say La Bodeguita is my favorite restaurant based on the ambiance, amenities, and it's a great vibe, great food as well. So yeah, that's my number 1 right now.
Phenomenal addition to Nulu. It's a great, great restaurant. Great Cuban food. Chantel, you want to go ahead?
So since I've been here I haven't been there for that long. So I've really only been to like places. I'm in Old Louisville. So there's Burger Boy up the street that I've been to a couple of times. And then of course, Indies is one of my favorites too.
Awesome. Vahid, how about you?
Well, a couple places. Recently, we like to go to District 6, which is a new Vietnamese restaurant out in St. Matthews. I feel like almost every week we're there on a Friday night. But also this one place that we've been going to forever. I lived in Louisville for 10 years. Shiraz, Ramin Akrami is a great friend. And love the food over there. So
definitely. Trey, you may not have been able to get out much these days with a new baby, but what about you?
Hey, for food, you still find time. So there's 2 that come to mind. One is over on Westport Road. It's called La Rosita. Used to be a grocery store turned dine-in restaurant. Really good. And then a dessert spot is over off Brownsboro Road called Legion Dairy. Gourmet dessert, but well worth the money.
Very good. I think Jess,
Yeah,
your turn.
actually, and I'm not kidding here, Trey. You took my answer. La Rosita is just like this hole in the wall Mexican food. It is amazing, and it's like $2
Amazing.
for a taco. All right, so I'm gonna switch it up then. One of my favorite experiences is walking across the bridge into Jeffersonville and going to the original parlor. I love that. The whole thing is just great. The outside and all of that. And then probably here in Louisville, Taco Luchador is my jam often. Sit and have a nice meal on the patio there. It's pretty great.
Very good. Very good. And then Mike, I think you're last.
Yeah, so I can literally see La Rosita out my window. So where I am right now, so we do go there quite a bit. There's another Mexican place down at the corner of Westport Road in Hirschborn, La Cocina de Mama, which is phenomenal as well. Very fresh ingredients, and I love that place. But if we're eating out, though, we're usually probably getting sushi, and we like Tokyo off Lamkeon Lane.
Very cool. Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate the activity. It's good to just get a little break in there in between presentations.
So, Brad, this is Shafiq. I was going to mention actually two places. One is definitely worth trying, and since we have a lot of J-Towners here, there's a new Spanish place called Barcelona Bistro Bar. The chef is actually from Barcelona. Some of the best Spanish food you'll find in the country. And one last relatively new addition in Goshen, there's a farm called Hermitage Farm. They have a barn that they transformed into a farm-to-table experience called Barn 8. And that's in Goshen.
Went to Barn 8 for my birthday, actually. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Very great.
And strongly recommend Barcelona.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, guys. I really appreciate your engagement there. Next, want to talk to you about Louisville facts and some fun facts, but also some important facts that I think really set our city apart. And, many of you may already know these things, so it could be a repeat lesson for you, but a lot of new residents in the room as well. So I think this is just a good refresh for most of us. But, Louisville general facts, the state of Kentucky has over 4 million people. There are 120 counties within the state. I think it's the second highest amount of counties in a state behind Georgia. And my understanding is we have so many counties because back in the day, they wanted to ensure that everyone was able to get to the county courthouse within a day's, horseback ride. So kind of a fun fact there. But the greater Louisville region, so those 15 counties that GLI serves, has about 1.5 million people, just to give you an idea. So that obviously includes parts of Southern Indiana as well. The state of Kentucky, as you know, is a commonwealth. It's based on common consent of the people. Frankfort is our capital, which most of y'all know, I'm sure, but you may not know that Louisville was named after King Louis XVI of France. So just some fun facts there. And actually, the city of Louisville started back in the day because, we're right at the falls of the Ohio. Many people arriving on boats on the Ohio River were not able to successfully navigate the falls. So they would have to get out in Louisville and go around. So that's really how our city came to be. There are a number of fun facts and figures that make our city unique. You may already be aware that the Hot Brown was created at the Brown Hotel, but you may not be aware that the inventor of chewing gum was a Louisville native Louisvillian, and that two Louisville sisters, Mildred and Patricia Hill, actually came up with Happy Birthday. And Happy Birthday is actually the most widely sung song in the world. So that's a fun fact there as well. The world's largest baseball bat, a full 120 feet tall, 68,000 pounds, is located at Louisville Slugger Museum, right on Main Street on Museum Row. Also within the broader greater Louisville region in Bardstown, you'll find the world's largest crucifix. It stands at over 60 feet tall, so that's an interesting fact there. And then Thunder over Louisville, the opening ceremony for the Kentucky Derby Festival, is actually the world's largest continually run firework display. But, you know, while these fun facts are great, there are a few accolades that our city has that I'm personally more proud of than you know, having the world's largest baseball bat. So for instance, Louisville has been designated a certified welcoming city. This is a top designation by Welcoming America for our standards in government leadership, civic engagement, connecting communities, economic development, and having safe communities. So I'm really proud of the fact that we're a certified welcoming city. We're also known to be a compassionate city, and we were one of the first cities in the nation to adopt fairness laws in our country. So more things that we can pat ourselves on the back with. You will find a number of different religions within our region. Pretty much any religious experience you want, we have that in our community. So whether it's Christianity, Catholicism, Buddhist, Islam, Hinduism, Judaism, we've got many faiths represented in our community and many different organized religious organizations. We also have a very robust Catholic community. And that's partially attributed to the fact that Louisville was one of the 4 original archdioceses within the United States. So that was actually located in Bardstown, Kentucky, along with New York City, Boston, and Philadelphia. So kind of an interesting fact there, and that does help attribute to our large Catholic population in our city. So some more important facts. One of the things that makes our city so wonderful is the fact that we're very centrally located. In fact, we're less than a day's drive to 80% of the population. Part of the reason why UPS is located in Louisville is due to that central location. And, you know, while our airport, for instance, the Muhammad Ali International Airport, is clearly not receiving the same amount of foot traffic as it has in previous years because of COVID, 2019 was actually a record-shattering year for the airport in terms of inbound and outbound foot traffic through the airport, which that's very exciting. And that can be attributed to the many new direct flights that have been added to the airport. So we also have 4 distinct seasons, which I particularly love, really having the best of all of the seasons. Our summers, albeit can be quite hot and humid with average highs in the upper 80s. But then we also, if you like cold weather, we've got cool winters as well. You'll find there'll be usually a couple of snow days at least during the winter months with average highs in the low 40s. But as we know, it can get much colder than that as well. So you really do get the best of both worlds in our region. Quickly, our city is run, our government is run by Mayor Greg Fisher from the executive level, and then is represented legislatively by our Metro Council. We have 26 council members that represent 26 unique districts within the region. So next, I want to talk a bit about bourbonism. We've all probably heard the expression that there are more bourbon barrels in the state of Kentucky than there are residents. And I'm not ashamed about that at all. I love me a good bourbon. But, you know, bourbon is America's native spirit. And Kentucky and Louisville really is that bourbon capital of the world. You know, less than a decade ago, you would have been hard pressed to find a distillery in our downtown core. Whereas today there are, you know, I believe almost 10 distilleries in our urban bourbon tour that you could go to. They're very popular tourist destinations, but also residents like myself, I've very much enjoyed going to the Old Forester Distillery on Whiskey Row and Angel's Envy and Evan Williams. There are so many unique urban bourbon tour experiences in the heart of our downtown. But in addition to the Urban Bourbon Trail, we also have obviously the Kentucky Bourbon Trail, all surrounding Louisville, you know, to the south of us, but, you know, to the east of us as well, towards Lexington, you'll find tons of wonderful bourbon distilleries and great tours. If you haven't checked any of them out, I would highly recommend giving those a shot. They're great. Winter is a great time of year to check those out as well. And of course, Louisville is a big horse racing city. We're situated on the outskirts of the Kentucky Bluegrass region. It's one of the epicenters of the horse racing industry in the world, obviously. And we're home to Churchill Downs, the greatest and fastest 2 minutes in sports, as they say, home of the Kentucky Derby, which is the first leg of the Triple Crown. As we know, Derby is not just one single Derby Day celebration. It expands for weeks prior to the Run for the Roses, with Derby, the Thursday before Derby, being a really popular day for the locals, followed by the Kentucky Oaks, which used to be kind of the Louisvillians' day at the track, but now it's almost just as popular and almost gets just as much of an attendance as the Kentucky Derby does, which is pretty cool. 2021 will be running our 147th running of the Kentucky Derby. It is tentatively slated for May 1st. COVID, we'll see what happens there. I'm confident that the Derby will be running on that date, but we'll see what's able to happen there in terms of people being able to purchase tickets. But it's tentatively planned for May 1st. And the celebration begins, as I said, weeks in advance with Thunder over Louisville and the boat race and Pegasus Parade, the Balloon Glow, all really fun, family-friendly events that take place in the weeks prior to Derby during the springtime. I also would be missing an opportunity to talk about Keeneland. I know Keeneland is in Lexington, but it is a beautiful historic racetrack, about an hour away from the heart of Louisville. They have their meets in April as well as October, but it's a great opportunity to see some really pretty horse farms and countryside driving out there, and just a great overall venue at Keeneland. So we have been known in Louisville to reference old landmarks that no longer exist or street names that have been changed. And some of this verbiage can be confusing to new residents. So I would just recommend maybe avoid using some of these confusing terms that some native Louisvillians might use, but may be confusing to newer prospective residents. One thing that always seems to come up, with Louisvillians is, what school did you go to? Well, for many people, if they did attend college, they may think, oh, you're asking what university did I go to? But no, we in Louisville actually are asking what high school you went to. And that can be very confusing for some people, just like the term, Kentuckiana is confusing to people. Jeffersonville or Jeffersontown are we talking about the small town across the river in Indiana, or are we talking about the suburb in Louisville? So just some things to be aware of, some confusing terminology that may be best to avoid when dealing with newer prospective residents. But the next portion, I want to talk about some of our sports as well as our parks and recreation in the community. We have a number of different parks, several of which have been designed by the Olmsted brothers, who famously designed Central Park in New York City. But we have a number of Olmsted parks in our city, Iroquois and Seneca and Cherokee. We also have the Parklands of Floyd's Fork, far out east in Jefferson County. It's a phenomenal park with lots of different activities, no matter if you enjoy hiking, canoeing, biking, or if you want to take your kids to the playground. There's just tons to do out at the Parklands of Floyd Fork, and that is part of our 21st Century Parks initiative, so it's pretty cool. Louisville is known, and we are designated as a city of parks. So in addition to the parks I've mentioned, we have the Waterfront Park, the Big Four Bridge, which is a wonderful walking bridge between Louisville and Southern Indiana. Lots of fun things to do on the Southern Indiana side as well. Lots of fun restaurants and just things to do. So that walking bridge has been a huge asset to our city. But when you get outside of Jefferson County as well, there are a ton of day trips that you could take all around us, such as, Red River Gorge, or, Brown County in Indiana, Mammoth Cave, which is, one of the world's largest underground cave systems. It's very, very cool. Bernheim Forest and Jefferson Memorial Forest. There are a lot of great things that surround outside of Jefferson County that are great places to promote and to enjoy yourselves as well. We've got, tons of marathons that are in Louisville throughout the year. If you have children and they're interested in joining various kid leagues, we've got tons of soccer programs, and volleyball, basketball, intramural basketball for adults as well. Tons of intramural sports for adults as well who like to engage in those activities as well. And then obviously Louisville is a massive sports town. We've got University of Louisville, which is in the ACC conference, and most recently Bellarmine, which is a Division I sports school now, and they're in the Atlantic Sun Conference. We've hosted tons of NCAA championships. We have now recently our Louisville City FC minor league soccer team, phenomenal new stadium in Butchertown. If you haven't checked it out yet, hopefully next season you'll be able to get some tickets. I personally am a season ticket holder to Louisville City and really had a great time attending some of those games this year. Very COVID safe and friendly, and I was glad to be able to at least attend some of these games in a very weird and unique year. But we have the Louisville Bats, our minor league baseball team, obviously Churchill Downs, but you might not know that Kentucky Motor Speedway is about an hour away. So if you're a race car fan, that's a great nearby perk that we have. Additionally, we have over 20 public golf courses within the region, affordable options. So if you like hitting the links, tons of great golfing options as well within our region. So next, we are going to be hearing from the Center for Neighborhoods. I am not sure if they're on the call. I believe they are, but we're going to hear from our friends at the Center for Neighborhoods. I do have the PowerPoint built into my PowerPoint, so I'll be in control. So just let me know when you need me to switch slides. Happy to do that, but I'm going to give my voice a bit of a rest for a bit, and we'll kick it off to our friends at the Center for Neighborhoods.
All right, thank you, Bradley. So I'm Michael Forbush. I am the Education and Engagement Director for the Center for Neighborhoods. Bradley, could you go ahead and start the?
Yes,
there
sir.
You go, one more. There we go. So the Center for Neighborhoods has been in existence since 1972. Our current iteration, what we do is work with residents to build great neighborhoods. And what we mean by great neighborhoods is really places that the residents who currently live there want to remain. So really kind of creating an idea of neighborhood ownership to take people away from the starter home traditional kind of mindset to really being in that house and that neighborhood and that community that's going to be the forever thing. So our model really begins with those residents. And from there, we start with community engagement. We currently have a full-time community engagement staff who go out into neighborhoods that work with residents to assist them in building up leadership, to help them organize neighborhood associations, and to do neighborhood level projects. From there, we have an education and training department, which I'm also in charge of, that really does workshops and larger events around the same thing. Last but not least, we have 2 full-time urban planners and a GIS person who handle a lot more of the technical things that neighborhoods need, such as neighborhood plans, design assistance, as well as neighborhood assessments. And we do all of that to really provide individual residents, as well as neighborhood associations and larger neighborhoods, the tools that they need to create vibrant and healthy neighborhoods. Next slide. So our neighborhood liaisons work within council districts. Right now, that is the best way we figure to kind of break up the work. So each neighborhood liaison has six or seven council districts, and they concentrate their work within those council districts to really provide the residents that live there with the tools that they need. So today, traditionally, I like to go around the room and ask people what neighborhood they live in for a couple different reasons. One is kind of an icebreaker to get people to figure out where everybody else is. A lot of times people don't know they live in the same neighborhoods. The other thing is that I really like to know where the group is situated. However, since we're Zoom in this short period of time, we're not going to do that today. But what I really want to focus on are some of the more unique neighborhoods within our community, and a lot of them are lesser known. So the first one I want to start with is James Taylor. Next slide. So James Taylor is located in the northeastern part of the county. It is adjacent to Prospect. It is right off River Road. A majority of people do not know where James Taylor is or even heard of it. But James Taylor was founded by a gentleman coming out of slavery who was gifted land. And what he did with the land was he subdivided it and allowed his relatives and other domestic workers to buy those plots. And he held the mortgages, so they paid him what they could over however long it took to allow them to be able to own land during a time where a lot of Black people couldn't own land. So James Taylor is one of the oldest neighborhoods within our city. And it's also notable that it is adjacent to Hayes Kennedy Park, a beautiful park. But most people haven't been there because it is really out of the way. So next slide. So one of the important things about James Taylor is not only that it's a historical neighborhood, but in an area that has $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 houses, this neighborhood has remained both affordable and accessible to a majority of people who live throughout Jefferson County. It is a very small neighborhood. It is community oriented. Like I said, there's a park really nearby, and they work hard to make sure that the people who live in James Taylor, and some of them are generational individuals who've lived there, whose families lived there for 3 generations, really have a sense of community. I'm gonna give a little bit of demographics for each neighborhood that we talk about, just so you can see some of the difference between the neighborhoods. So the next one I want to talk about is Lake Dreamland. And Lake Dreamland is almost the direct opposite side of the county. It is on the southwestern side of the county, and it is another historical neighborhood within our city. It is also another small, really tight-knit community. So Lake Dreamland was initially designed in 1920-ish. I can't remember the actual year, but as a resort community. So a lot of the individuals who were living downtown, who were high level with the railroad or high level with the newspaper, decided that they want someplace close to vacation during the summer. They built Lake Dreamland. However, the 1937 flood kind of really put a stop to that idea. So since then, Lake Dreamland has had a really interesting history. There was a large biker group that was located there in one of the oldest, at one time speakeasy, but we would consider it a club in the city. And sorry, I lost my place in my notes. It also currently, a lot of people who live there are retired. It is a beautiful, beautiful area. It has a natural lake that most of the houses face, and it also has really great river views. Um, mm, the last one I want to talk about is Southside, and I'm kind of running through these to give some time for some questions to answer in the end. So Southside is located centrally within the city, a little bit south, hence the name. But it is one of the most diverse neighborhoods within our community. Right now, I believe that the population of Southside is evenly distributed, hit the next slide, between Black, white, Asian, multiple races, and Hispanics. One of the best best assets of the Southside is the Americana Community Center. The Americana Community Center is really a gathering place and a resource for a lot of folk who are foreign born, whether that be immigrants or refugees, to come together both socially and provide educational tools such as English as a second language. I am blanking on the rest of their programming. However, they do offer a lot of programming to kids, and the ability for community to be built within those refugee populations. So a lot of times what happens is, especially Louisville, we have two refugee agencies. We have Kentucky Refugee Ministries and we have Catholic Charities. They tend to bring refugees in kind of in the waves, the natural waves that refugees are leaving their home countries, and they spread them out through the city. Americana acts as that kind of gathering place to bring people back together who are native from a specific region. Next slide. Oh, back up. I had my slides wrong. So the other great thing about Southside is the access that it has to a couple different smaller neighborhoods that are really vibrant and growing, namely Beachmont and Iroquois. If you haven't been to this part of town, within Beachmont, there is, I am having a horrible day. Woodlawn Avenue, sorry, that has really great food, namely Annie's and the Caribbean Cafe. Both of these establishments have been started and really been promoted by the refugee population. Annie's serves Vietnamese and the Caribbean Cafe is Haitian food broadly. And it really shows individuals who come to this community and are provided the resources to get something together. Our work within both the Southside and Beachmont really is to provide those two communities with the resources to expand in the way that they want to and really promote those businesses there. So if you have a chance, swing by Woodlawn Avenue. It's between Southern and 3rd Street, and really partake in a lot of those things that are happening on that neighborhood, in that block. There will be 3 new shops and a brand new mural going up before the end of the year, hopefully. As well as Stop by Americana, they're always looking for both volunteers and some donations. They currently have a, I believe it's still going on, a donation drive to assist them in the work that they do. Typically, when it's non-COVID, Americana puts on the World Fest, which is a great celebration of all the cultures and all the different people who live in our city. It happens over a weekend, I believe in August, and it has grown from their backyard to taking up a good portion of Iroquois Park at the amphitheater. So these are only 3 really good examples of the diversity of neighborhoods within our city, right? My home neighborhood, which I don't live in anymore, is Old Louisville. We have the largest collection of Victorian style houses still standing, Victorian mansion still standing. We also have a wonderful park that typically, non-COVID, offers free Shakespeare for anybody that can attend. These are our social media handles. We are currently located in the Wyandotte/Oakdale neighborhood. And if you have any questions or have anything that you want to talk about, that is our email address. Or you can give us a call also on the screen.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate it. Do any of you guys have any questions for Michael about any of the neighborhoods he spoke to, or perhaps some other areas of town or neighborhoods that you have a general question on? We've got Michael for a few more minutes before we move on to the next presenter, but any questions, this would be a good opportunity.
Michael, this is Jess. I just wanted to say thank you so much. I love this city, but knowing the history of some of these specific neighborhoods I've never heard that before, and that's really cool. Is there any like more reading, or can I find out any more about any of the other neighborhoods? Because I feel like as a city champ, knowing some of this would really help others and welcome them to the city.
Yes, there is a book that it focuses on the history of Louisville. There's actually a couple different books. And since we have moved, I have lost sight of our library, so I can't tell the name off the top of my head. But yeah, so a lot of the research that we do comes from a book that I believe the name of it is The History of Louisville, as well as talking to individuals that live in neighborhoods. So some of those individuals that have been in neighborhoods for 20 or 30 years have a really deep and vast knowledge of those neighborhoods. What neighborhood do you live in, Jess?
I live in the Goose Creek area.
Oh, you live in the burbs.
I came from Oldham County, so I'm much closer to Louisville than I used to in my head.
But yeah, so yeah, doing a little bit of research on your neighborhood. So you have a book written by Dean Blaine Hudson that covers a history of Black Louisville and Black Louisvillians. And then I am almost certain that the name of that book is A History of Louisville.
Awesome, I'll look them up. Thank you.
Yes, and they can both be found at Carmichael Books, a local bookstore that is very good.
So good.
Very good. Michael, thank you so much. You know, if any of those book names come to mind, feel free to email them to me. I'll shoot them over to our city champs here and some good light reading for them. So thank you so much for your time, Michael, and for presenting for us. We really do appreciate it. Up next, we are going to be hearing from Jefferson County Public Schools. Is Dina on the line? If not, we might be able to take just a couple-minute biology break for everyone in case you need to get up, stretch your legs, but didn't know if Dina was.
Yes, it's Deanna Sutherland,
Deanna,
and I am
okay.
here, but I also support bio breaks. So if that is needed, by all means, feel free.
Let's take a 2-minute break if that's okay, and then we'll get started in 2:13. How about that?
Awesome, thank you.
Great. All right, Deanna, we are ready for you whenever you are.
Okay, sure. I'm Deanna Sutherland. Yep.
Sorry to interrupt you. I have control of the PowerPoint, so whenever you want to move forward with slides, just let me know, and I'll be able to move us forward.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I'm Deanna Sutherling. I am the marketing coordinator for Jefferson County Public Schools, and I am super excited to be with you guys today. I am a Louisville native. I was born and raised here, and I'm a graduate of JCPS. I went to McFerrin, Kamar, and Ballard, and now I am working here at JCPS. And I get to promote all of our awesome schools. So I've been here for about 2 years, and I'm excited to tell you all about our awesome school district. I hope I have some other fellow JCPS grads on with us, but we can go ahead and go to the next slide. Awesome. So We Are JCPS is the hashtag that we use, and we've been using for the last few years. We use it across our social channels, but especially on Twitter and Instagram. You'll see it on Facebook as well. Definitely encourage you to take a look at that We Are JCPS hashtag to get a really good look at who we are as a district. You'll see posts from the district, from our teachers, from parents, from students. So you can really see a ton at that hashtag. Next. Okay, this next slide is actually a video, and it is a video from our scholarship check presentation that we did in May of this year. Scholarship Presentation Day is a really fun part of something we've been doing the last couple of years because we have an employee-sponsored scholarship fund, and I think you really get a good look at who our students are and how amazing they are when you watch this video. So it's only 2 minutes, so we can go ahead and watch this.
Let's see if it works. Give me one moment.
Sure.
Feel like Ed McMahon this morning, huh?
I know, that's how I feel. Well, we're giving out the 2020 employee scholarships to 4 incredible graduating seniors from JCPS. $6,000 for you. Thank you. So I think this takes care of all your tuition at U of L.
Public health, but I want to do it on a pre-med track, so hopefully, you guys might see me in the medical field someday, so that's what I'm really hoping for.
This is from my heart feeling desire. Thank you so much.
Oh, $20,000. That's for everything you need for the rest of your time.
Thank you so much.
So congratulations.
So this money will help me to further my studies at the University of Louisville. This scholarship will cover my 4 years there, as I will be studying computer science and business there.
It's incredible to see these seniors, and I get teary when I think about the class of 2020. So any way we can celebrate them.
You want to know how much it is?
How much is it?
You ready to see this?
Mm-hmm.
$30,000. All the employees, JCPS gave you $30,000. I think that's for all 4 years. That covers your expenses, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
All
Thank
right,
you.
Congratulations.
I'm so excited about my future. I can't wait to become a doctor. I can't wait to help other people. It means so much to me. And the fact that I'm able to just take one less thing off of my shoulders by getting this funding, it means so much to me.
Ready to see this, how much it's for? Look at that, $24,800. That is for the rest of your tuition and all of your expenses for U of L for 4 years.
When I was younger, I had a lot of surgeries, and I just love the way the nurses take care of me, so I wanted to help other people in that way.
It's going to do a lot for her. Without scholarships, it wouldn't have been possible.
But the fact that we gave away 60 last year and 80 this year, it just says a lot about the JCPS family and how much everyone cares for these kids. To just see the look on their face when they get this and know that they don't have to worry about tuition anymore is just, it's worth everything.
Okay, I just love that video. We could go to the next slide now. So as you can see, we have a ton of diversity in our student body, and our students are just doing really amazing things. They have great aspirations at our schools around the district. So it's just a joy that we get to have that day. And not all of the employees, but several thousand of our employees contribute to that scholarship fund via payroll deductions. So that's how that is able to happen. So as I mentioned, Jefferson County Public Schools, we have 95,000 plus students, 17,000 employees, including 6,700 teachers. So We have 168 schools that are generally all of Louisville. So if you're looking at a map of Louisville, pretty much the whole thing is covered by JCPS. There is Anchorage, of course, has their own separate school district, and a little sliver of the city on some parts is outside of JCPS. But generally, when you think of Louisville, think of JCPS. We are, of course, the largest school district by far in this state. Lexington and Fayette County Public Schools has about 41,000 students and about 65 schools. So that's why in a lot of ways, what happens with JCPS is just a little bit different than what goes on in other school districts. And I think we're seeing that particularly these days as it pertains to COVID precautions and all of the preparations and accommodations that we have made there. So as you can see, we have support for gifted learners, students that have special needs, English language learners. About 11,000 of our kids are English language learners. Dozens of languages are spoken within JCPS. We have students who are going through all kinds of life situations, including homelessness, that we serve as well. So really diverse student body, huge district, but there is a fit for everyone within JCPS. You can go to the next slide. Awesome. So all of our schools in JCPS are committed to these 3 pillars, the backpack of success skills, racial equity, and culture and climate. And I'll just give you a little overview of that. I know you can read it there, but the backpack of success skills is an initiative that we are now in year 3 of, that basically allows students to track and demonstrate their progress across all academic areas and show where they are as they're going through school. So it's a way that we can measure student achievement and engagement and keep track of it throughout the year and not have to reduce students to only test scores. So it's really cool. They basically drop files in their digital backpacks in Google all throughout their education. And then in 5th, 8th, and 12th grade, they use those artifacts, as we call them, in their backpack to demonstrate their readiness to transition to the next level. As you all know, especially this year, racial equity is a key focus for our district as we are seeking to serve students across the range of experiences in racial groups. And so we're tackling this in a whole lot of different ways, including in our racial equity policy that is addressing school suspensions, diversity hiring needs to make sure that the folks who are working for JCPS match more closely the student body that we are serving, and as well as taking steps to make our curriculum more inclusive across the board. Culture and climate is a little bit more self-explanatory, but creating those healthy, equitable cultures across JCPS so that students, staff, families feel supported as their student is on their educational journey. Next slide, please. Okay. All right, so preparing students for college and career. This slide is about our high schools. The academies of Louisville, as you can see, are learning communities within 15 JCPS high schools. So we do have 21 high schools, and the academies are within what we call our resides or our home schools. And basically they are academies within the school. You can kind of see a sample of how these are structured, but you can see all students are in the freshman academy when they get to high school at one of these schools, and it helps them to explore what their interests are, what career pathway they might want to study or just look at for the rest of high school. And one thing I would like to call out here is that there can be a misconception that we're asking students to choose their lifelong career when they choose this, but really this is just choosing an area, a subject that interests them through which they can study the rest of their high school subjects through. Because we've seen when kids are able to connect what they're learning in classroom sort of basics to a career pathway to the real world, they're so much more interested when they can see how what they're learning in algebra is actually used in marketing, believe it or not, they're like, oh, wow, this is so much more relevant. And this is just a sample pathway chart that we have. Those 15 high schools have totally different charts. I will say our Health Science Academy that you see there, with Louisville being such a healthcare hub, many of our schools have health science academies so that we can meet the needs of the local workforce here. So it's really an exciting initiative. We have over 135 business partners, and those are businesses from big folks like GE and UPS and Norton that have thousands of employees, to businesses that are just in the neighborhoods and have 2 employees. So really there is a whole lot of room for businesses to join in what we're doing in academies and help to support student success. Students can earn industry certifications, they can earn dual credit, they get apprenticeship opportunities, internship opportunities through our work with Academies of Louisville. So it's a really, really exciting thing that I would love to talk to you even more about. I do have another video, but I know we're running a little closer to time, so we'll probably skip over the next one. But it is basically showing you the apprenticeship experience for one of our Health Science Academy students. So I hope you'll be able to watch it another time so you can kind of see what that experience looks like.
Deanna, how long is the video?
It's also about 2.5 minutes, I think.
We're happy to go with it and to watch it.
Okay, great. Yes, let's do it. That way you can see more of what the hands-on experience is really like and what they get to do in high school.
So what we're doing is we're documenting what we actually gave to the student. That way.
I go to Wagner High School, and the apprenticeship is a medical apprenticeship, so I am working at the Health Services Department for JCPS.
You can kind of look at what I did.
I kind of work a lot with immunizations and taking care of certificates for teachers to administer.
Yep, very good. She really brings to us the voice of a student, different perspective, obviously a lot of energy.
Doing things like this, it gives you a better experience and it opens your eyes to new opportunities. You may change your mind on what you really want to do, because the pathway that I'm in is more so for people who are trying to be like doctors and surgeons, and working around them, it kind of opened my eyes like, maybe I don't want to be a doctor or surgeon, maybe I want to be a nurse practitioner.
We need to be training our workforce for the future. That's what we're about in JCPS. And, she came into us thinking she wanted to be a physician, and now she sees, hey, there's different aspects of healthcare that might be interesting to me. She definitely has the personality to be a nurse practitioner.
A lot of people always ask me, how are you able to cope with this? Because I do a lot of sports. I do cheer, I do track. I'm a student ambassador for the school.
She has helped me to remember the passion and the energy of being young and just that desire to learn.
I'm doing stuff that I never would have ever dreamed of doing, and especially at my age in high school, it is a great opportunity. So I would tell anybody to go for it. I can do this. I've done this before. I'm a pro.
I expect great things from her.
So I'm glad we did get to watch that, because you can see that they really are learning really practical skills that they would be able to use if they do pursue careers in that field. You also saw some of the lab spaces that we have in some of our schools that allow students to get that hands-on experience. So it's really awesome. Now we're kind of switching gears a little bit more to talk about school choice. And we're doing that because we know that a lot of times there's a lot of confusion around choice within JCPS. So I want to make sure to equip you guys with the correct information about how the process works, so that you all can be sure to help families as they're navigating it. So how do you even get started? How do you find out what your choices are when you're looking at a map like this, where there are clearly so many choices? There's a tool on our website where you can put in your address, and it'll show you what your elementary school cluster is, which is basically a grouping of 4 to 8 elementary schools that serve your home address, what your reside school is at the middle and the high school level. And then from there, you're equipped with the knowledge to know what those schools are, and you can go from there to explore your magnet options in magnet schools and magnet programs. We do have choices books. We have printed books and then the interactive guides that are linked online for all of our elementary, middle, and high schools. Definitely would encourage you to check those out. Get a look at the profiles for each of the schools. As you read through, you'll know what their program offerings are, what the size of their school is, just all kinds of fun facts about what is unique to their school. Right now, we are in the midst of the virtual showcase of schools. So typically we have an in-person one-day event where all 168 schools are in one place for one day. You can go from booth to booth to get to know the schools and collect information about them. Usually about 14,000 people attend. But unfortunately, of course, this year we cannot have 14,000 people in one place. So we are doing a virtual showcase of schools where each school is hosting they'll have a school tour video and then a live Q&A session so that families who are exploring their school choice options can find out more about the schools via Facebook. So that information is also on our website. That's how you kind of get started. And then we can go on to our next slide. They are phenomenal. I love Academy. Okay, so yes, getting started. If you're new to the district, you have to register and apply. And that's for incoming kindergartners as well. And I know this can be tricky because if you are a parent to a student who is going to be in kindergarten next year, you might be thinking, oh, I probably should get into the process in April or May, but actually now is the time. Every year, the registration and application period is late October to about mid-December. So this year, the deadline is December 16th. So if you're making a selection for your middle school, for your high school, or if you have an incoming kindergartner, now is the time to take action. And what you do during the application process is, of course, use School Finder, explore your options, and then once you get to the actual application, elementary school students will rank the schools that are within their cluster. They'll also indicate any magnet options that they may want to pursue. Similarly, for middle and high school, if you want to just go to your resides home school, you actually don't have to do a thing. If you've already made that decision after exploring your choices, you just sit tight and wait until the next school year and you'll be auto-enrolled at that school. If you want to go to a different one, then you do have to go through the application process. Next slide. Okay, I wanted to take you guys through some urban legends that you might hear or be familiar with even in your own experience. Just again, to equip you with correct information so that you're ready if you do hear these things. Okay, first big one is that there is no school choice, that JCPS assigns students to one particular school and that they don't have any options to choose from. As I've kind of talked a little bit about, that is absolutely not the case. At the elementary level, each student has an elementary cluster that has 4 to 8 schools that they can choose from and rank during the application process. If you apply during the application process, we've seen that 93% of incoming kindergartners who do apply at this time get their first cluster choice. So again, you have a choice at the kindergarten level, at the middle school level, and at the high school level. It's just really crucial to make sure you take action during this school choice period. So I know I've talked about middle school and high school a little bit. Again, you can go to your reside school or you can apply to magnet schools, magnet programs. And at the high school level, we also have networks of schools. So 3 sort of similarly as a cluster, but it functions a little differently in that you have to submit a separate application to go to a network school if it's not your reside school. There's that one. So there absolutely is school choice here. Similarly to what I was just sharing, when you apply during the application period, your chances of getting into those choice options are not 0, which is again what folks often think about. They think, oh, if you apply to a magnet elementary school, you have no chance of getting in there, and that's absolutely not true. You can see again that 93% rate for getting into your first cluster choice, your first within that ranking that you do. If you are an incoming kindergartner going to one of our magnet schools, 67% of those students are accepted when they apply during the application period. Sixth grade, you can see there for a magnet school, magnet program, and then also for high school at the 9th grade level there. So acceptance rates are pretty good when you do apply during the registration application period. Next slide. Okay, another falsehood that is out there is that race is the primary factor in determining school admission, and it's not. An individual student's race is not a factor in determining admission. We aren't looking at a student's race and saying, you should be able to go to this school because of what you look like. At the elementary level, there's the way you filled out your application, so what your choice selections are, where you ranked your options, space available at the school, siblings at our reside schools, at our cluster schools. Siblings are guaranteed to be able to be together at the same school. Then we look at diversity at the school, and then resides option. So is this your reside school as well? At the middle and the high school levels, some schools do have a lottery process, and then some of them have a criteria-based process where it is based on, of course, the criteria that they set and that you submit as part of the application process. Next, we've got another one. Students riding buses for hours is another one that commonly you'll hear is, there are people in JCPS who are riding the bus for 2 hours a day, but our actual average ride time is less than 29 minutes. What you'll find is that students who are riding the bus for longer than that are going to one of our magnet programs or our magnet schools that they might not personally live close to, which means that they may have to transfer buses and it may extend their ride time. So you'll see that, again, only about 2% of students are in those really longer ride times. So you can see middle and high school have a couple minutes longer. Elementary is shorter because, again, usually they're going to a school closer to their home with the clusters. So 29 minutes is our average time, not so what you might hear about the hours. Our next slide. Okay, and then there's the other one on the flip side is that your child won't be able to attend the reside school. And what they're getting at is that a student, again, wouldn't have a choice. They're going to be forced to go to a school across town or to go to a different school than what they want to. And that is also not the case. Many of our middle and high school students are going to the reside school. They've chosen that, they've looked at their other options and they say, yep, I would like to go to the school that I'm designated to, and 65% of middle school and 67% of high school students are doing that. 42% of elementary school students attend their reside school, and that's just a little bit lower since their cluster has, that 4 to 8 other options. So they might say, oh, I don't want to go to my reside school, but I'm still going to one of the schools within my cluster there. And I know I mentioned the 93% stat, so we can go on to the next slide. There aren't any good schools in JCPS. So again, this is false. And I hope, again, I have some JCPS grads on here with me that can share about having had a great high school experience, but it's simply not true that there aren't any good schools within JCPS. Our educators are qualified, they're dedicated, they're committed, they're going above and beyond for students to meet your needs wherever you are. If you're particularly gifted and talented, we're meeting you there. If you have English language learning needs, we're meeting you there. If you are struggling academically, we're meeting you there. If you have disabilities, we're meeting you there. So it's simply false that there aren't good schools within JCPS. And some of the stats that we wanted to share there are that 6 of the top 25 schools in Kentucky are within JCPS. 85% of our teachers have a master's degree. We have over 400 national board certified teachers, which is a really high certification that they have to pursue independently and document. And we have over 400 of those as well. All of our high schools offer advanced placement and dual credit options. And there are proficient and distinguished students at that, that testing criteria level at all of our schools. We also do a comprehensive school survey every year. This is open to staff, it's open to students, parents, it's actually also open to the community. So you might have even filled it out, even if you aren't currently a part of the JCPS family. And it just asks questions based on where you are, what your relationship is to JCPS, about how you think we're doing, how you're interacting with us. And that comes out in the fall, and we get the results in the spring every year. So in the 2019 study, 91.2% of parents are satisfied with their kids' school, according to this study that we've done that gets thousands of recipients. So if there weren't any good schools within JCPS, would 91% of them be satisfied? Seems unlikely. So our next slide. Awesome. So questions you guys might have. So you can ask me directly. Amanda Averett Bush is in our school choice office. Obviously, she's running around a lot these days since we're in the actual registration and application period. But any specific questions you have about the process, like if you're like, I'm in the middle of the application and I'm looking for the box that says magnet vault, she is the person who can help you with that. But I am absolutely happy to answer any questions that you guys might have now.
Deanna, thank you so much. This was a phenomenal presentation. And, you know, I think that this was very valuable to all of our city champs on the line. I can attest that the Academies of Louisville is such an innovative and amazing thing. And I'm a huge champion for the Academies of Louisville. But this whole presentation has been great. Does anyone have any questions for Deanna right now?
All set for now. If anything comes up, don't hesitate to reach out. And of course, you can reach out to Amanda as well. She's great.
So, Deanna, just a quick question. And this is not coming from me. I've been asked this from people who come to the city. They go on greatschools.com or .org. And what happens is, I mean, I don't have kids myself, so I have no experience with the system. But and we've went over this once. I guess the scoring that the schools get here compared to other places tends to be on the lower side. And they always ask me for justification, which I don't. I mean, I say, I know people graduate and do good things from here, but yeah, do you have any idea of?
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of what drives that and what can be contributing to the factor is the sheer size of our district. So again, when you have nearly 100,000 students, there's a whole lot of diversity there in terms of what kids are bringing to the table. So we have students who are really particularly gifted, particularly talented, who are, you know, perhaps raising some of the scores you might be seeing there. And then we have students who are, you know, coming from different backgrounds where they might have less parental support. They might have some learning challenges that we're working through. There can be some behavior difficulties that are also shaped by some of their trauma experiences. There can be a whole lot of factors that influence what those scores can look like from district to district, but even just being a district of our size, it can necessarily kind of, you know, result in that happening. So I know it can be concerning. I would say to those parents too, to take a look at US News and World Report's rankings as well.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, if I might, you know, I always respond to something like that with, you know, that type of website is more like, if you remember, like ratemyprofessor.com, or, you know, if you go to the, you know, the Amazon reviews or any Google reviews, it's typically folks are more motivated to go in there when they're upset and try to complain publicly than if they're happy and they want to, you know, give commendations. So I would just, my approach to that is going to be to just point to kind of the stats and information you just gave us as a, you know, maybe a more reputable and verified source of, you know, the quality of the schools. I actually do have a question for you, and I don't have kids. I don't understand anything about school systems, so this is probably be a dumb question. I know there's no such thing.
Not.
I live in Southern Indiana. If folks in Southern Indiana wanted to send their kids to school in Louisville, is that possible?
That would not be possible. I'm so sorry. It is. They do have to live within JCPS, within Jefferson County, to attend our schools. So that is not a silly question at all.
Good deal. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Deanna. Really appreciate this. It was a phenomenal presentation and very informative as well. So this was great, and we'll be in touch soon because you'll definitely be doing this for us again at our next City Champs training, summer 2021. So
I
thank
can't
you
wait.
again.
I love it. I love telling folks about JCPS, and I hope I can be a resource for you guys. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. So before we go on to LMPD, I did want to mention, obviously there are other schools within Jefferson County and our surrounding area other than JCPS. We've got a large number of Catholic schools, both grade school and high school, also have Jewish school options as well, and many private schools. And we can't forget about some of our other county schools as well in the region. And again, lots of also childcare programs as well. YMCA has wonderful childcare programs, Bright Horizons, community coordinated childcare, known as 4C. Lots of great options. The list goes on. So up next, if we could have Mr. Williams come on, he is with Louisville Metro Police Department, is going to give us a presentation on LMPD, and you'll have an opportunity as well to ask questions. But with that being said, if Mr. Williams is on, we'd love to get started with our next presentation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tyree Williams with the Louisville Metro Police Department's Community Engagement Unit. How's everybody doing today? All right, I'll take the thumbs up as everybody's doing good. Good. All right, so today we want to talk about some of the, we want to give you an overview of LMPD, Louisville Metro Police Department, and some safety tips. So going forward, I want to say, Bradley, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak with you guys today. And it is going to be hard to follow behind Deanna. She did an awesome job. So I want to say thank you for that one. So here at LMPD, we encourage all our citizens, go to next, there we go, that slide's good. We encourage all our citizens to lock your doors on your vehicle and store all your valuable items in the trunk before you go, hence the lock before you go. And on our crime tip line, you can dial 502-574-LMPD or 572-5673, which is our anonymous tip line. You can call and give information about what's going on within your community and your surrounding areas if you see a crime or anything like that. And if you have, say if your vehicle is towed, you can call Metro Safe at 574-7111 and find out where your vehicle is located at. Or if you suspect that we towed it or another company has towed it, we can give you resources to contact other towing agencies to see about getting your vehicle back. And if you believe that your vehicle was stolen, you can dial 911 and file a report. I recommend taking a picture with your phone of your license plate because most people don't know their license plate number, and that will help with tracking your vehicle a lot faster and recovering your vehicle a lot faster. And of course, file the report as soon as you know that your vehicle is missing. You can follow all of our anything with LMPD at lmpd.ky, or you can follow us on Facebook at Louisville Metro Police Department and on the web at www.louisville-police.org. Next slide, please. All right, so like in most cities, we have our criminal activity as well within our neighborhoods. So, but you can report that crime at 574-LMPD, or you can go to our crime map and see, which is what's up on the screen now is our crime map. You can go to that web address listed above, and it will take you to the crime map, and you can click on your area to see what kind of crimes are taking place in the area. And at that point, you can do one thing, you can reach out to our community engagement team, and we can help you set up a neighborhood watch program if one is not set up in that area. And then two, you can use that tip line to report anonymous activity going on. And next slide, please. All right, in LMPD, we have 8 patrol divisions, and then we also have a downtown area patrol that covers the downtown business district. But as you can see from the slide here, we have our 8 divisions, and you have the physical address and the front desk number if you need to get in contact with someone in your division to go over things that are taking place in your area, or if you just want to ask questions about anything like parking or anything like that, you can reach out to those divisions, their commander or their sergeants in charge. Next slide, please. All right. Within LMPD, we have different programs that we use, specifically my unit, which is community engagement. We have the Civilian Police Academy, the CPA, Volunteers and Police Services, the VIPS, and the Neighborhood Watch Program. If you want to ask me more questions about that, I'll hang around a few minutes after the presentation and kind of go over each one of those if you would like me to. Next slide, please. All right. So again, my name is Tyree Williams. I'm with the Louisville Metro Police Department. You can reach me at 502-262-7819, or you can email me at Tyree, TYREE.Williams@louisvilleky.gov. If you need me to give that again, somebody just give me a thumbs up and I'll repeat it. If not, I'll go ahead and questions.
Perhaps you could type it into the chat box, and that way everyone can have it and save it to their phone. Would that be possible?
I definitely will. I'm doing it as we speak.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate that overview, and I do feel there may be some questions among some of our city champs here. So if anyone has a question that you'd like to pose, now would be a great opportunity.
Hey,
Yes,
Bradley,
Christine.
I'd like to go ahead and ask a quick question. Hi, Tyree. My name is Christine Tarquinio, and I'm the Director of Marketing and Brand Strategies at GLI, and I also oversee Live in Lou, which is our talent attraction initiative.
Hello.
Hi, thank you for being here, first of all. Appreciate the opportunity to ask some questions. Handling all of the talent attraction for the city through a pandemic and through a lot of other issues has been a little difficult, and Louisville has received a lot of national attention as of late. And one of the questions that I get frequently from people who are moving here or thinking about moving here is what's being done to repair the relationship between LMPD and the community. And I know that every single city champ who gets contacted will get this question, because I get it from every single person that's thinking about moving here. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, even generally. I have heard the interim chief speak a little bit about it, but if you have any advice on how we can communicate some of the positive stories around what's going on at LMPD and how you're interacting with the community.
Yes, ma'am. So our unit specifically, we deal with a lot of the community and trying to bridge that gap between the civilians and the police and rebuild that trust. So one of the things that we do, my unit, we meet Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays with a lot of the protest leaders and trying to coordinate with them and get a clear understanding of what they want and how do we achieve what they want and how do we achieve, getting some of the civil unrest to calm down and, reassure the civilians and the citizens of our community that, that we're back to a unity again. One of the things, like we're doing turkey drives this weekend where we're going to pass out turkeys, and we're doing bed builds where we're going to be building beds and handing beds out to some of the unfortunate children that don't have beds. And as far as businesses, when Chief Gentry took over, first thing she did was have all of the businesses downtown take off all the wood and everything off of the buildings, because it made it look like we were a city in distress. And we're not a city in distress right now. We are steadily improving. It's slow, but it's moving forward. Does that answer your question, or would you like me to dig in a little deeper?
Yeah, I mean, I would get very frustrated with some of our leadership and business owners that would go on MSNBC or CNN and start talking about us. I'm like, guys, come on, you're killing me,
Right.
So anything, any positive stories, especially if you and I could, this is not for this meeting, but if you and I could open up a line of communication where you can communicate some of that to me so that I can continue to share that information with our champs and with visitors, that I would really appreciate that.
Absolutely, I would love that, and I can also link you up with a lot of the members from my team that have a lot of positive feedback and experience within our city. So yeah, I think that would be a great idea if we can get offline and actually talk a little bit more in depth.
Well, I've got your contact info, so I'll get.
Yes, ma'am. And if anyone else needs to reach out to me, they can do so as well.
That's great. You know, there's a lot of good positive stories out there that I think need to be shared out in the community. And we do really appreciate your time and you coming to present to us and giving us a bit of an overview about LMPD, but also kind of giving us some tools that we can use to talk about things going on in our community and try to quell maybe some misperceptions about the state of how things are currently in the city. And we do really appreciate you coming along and we're glad to have your contact information as well.
Absolutely. I'm here if you guys ever need me again, and please use the contact. I'm always here. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So this kind of leads us to a discussion that I'd like to have with you guys, and not everyone needs to participate, but you know, I'd be curious just if anyone has some thoughts or inputs, you know, what are some things that you find new residents may misunderstand about Louisville when they get here? Some common misconceptions. Just would be curious to hear as Louisvillians what you think some common misconceptions might be.
I actually, you know, obviously deal with people all the time moving to Louisville, and had like some ladies from California here yesterday, and they almost feel like we're so nice that it can't be real, that we're actually like, it's, you know, so this is I guess as good as it could be, really, you know, that the community, everyone says, you know, looks you in the eye and says hello and all that kind of stuff. And they almost feel like that can't be a real situation and like it's fake. So I guess that's a positive thing though. I hear that from tons of my clients when they relocate to Louisville.
That is something that is very true. I think most of us could attest to that. Just the people within our city and our region are just genuinely very friendly. I mean, it's you always hear from people, they say that, you know, whether they consider Louisville a southern city or a Midwestern city, whatever it may be, you know, we like to say at Live in Lou that we blend the best of Southern hospitality and Midwestern sensibility at the same time. But that recipe together comes up with some pretty nice people that are pretty engaging and just overall pretty friendly. So I think that's a great insight. And I think there.
The second thing is that most people think that we're this, when they come here for the first time, they think we're this sleepy town with nothing going on. And they're just shocked about how much there is to actually do here and to participate in.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think about two things along those lines. One, when I was in college at U of L, y'all might remember Teddy Bridgewater. I remember him coming to campus from Miami thinking that, you know, Louisville was a bunch of horse farms. And so that is one interesting thought that I think some people have. On the other hand, I think some people, especially out in the state, I heard from a doctor the other day that they had a patient from out in the state, and of course with COVID protocols, they have to wait in the car instead of the waiting room. And this person insisted on coming in because they, you know, felt so unsafe in the parking lot. I think that the office is like, you know, somewhere far eastern Louisville. You know, it was just not exactly the reality on the ground. But I think some people think that, you know, there's like, I don't know, tumbleweeds and those drums, you know, that are just on fire and stuff like that. The whole city is very much not like that.
Very good point. Very valid point, guys. Well, to keep up with time, I know we could talk about this conversation for quite some time, but just for the sake of time, I am going to move on to our next slides. You'll be hearing from me for a little bit longer, and then we are going to talk with Emily from Yelp in the next 10 or so minutes. But I want to move on to making a difference. As we talked about earlier in the presentation, many people, when moving to a new city, they find value in coming to that community and being able to make an immediate impact. And that's one of our value propositions that we really try to boast about with Live in Lou. But Within Louisville, we're lucky enough to be surrounded by dozens of nonprofit organizations. And the barrier to get involved with those organizations is very minimal when compared to larger cities like Atlanta and Chicago. So if you want to get involved on a board here, it's easier to do so. For instance, the Center for Nonprofit Excellence has a board match program. I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but if you're an individual looking to get on a board, it's a great place to start. You can look at various nonprofits and what they do and the work that they do, and you can get involved in them. It's a great resource for anyone wanting and looking to get involved. But next, we are going to talk a little bit about our arts and culture. One thing that makes Louisville really unique is that we are one of only 13 cities in the United States that boast the 5 major professional arts organizations. So, and of those 13 cities, I will also preface that we are by far the smallest city of the 13. But we have theater, with Actors Theater of Louisville and Stage One. We have the Louisville Ballet. We have the Louisville Orchestra. We have the Kentucky Opera, and then we also have visual art museums, the Speed, Kentucky Museum of Art and Craft. So many great options here, but we are, only one of 13 cities in the nation that have all 5 of those major performing professional arts organizations. So that's pretty cool. We're not just known for the Kentucky Derby here, obviously. We have a number of festivals and art fairs and events that take place in our region all throughout the year. So, and they're not limited to this is just a snapshot here in this slideshow, but we have the Kentucky Reggae Festival, Kentuckiana Pride Festival. We have a number of nationally sought after music festivals, such as Forecastle, which takes place in July. And then our Danny Wimmer presents Trifesta music festivals. We've got Hometown Rising, Bourbon and Beyond, and Louder Than Life. Each year, we also have the St. James Art Fair, which is a fall favorite for many Louisvillians. And of course, as we've talked about, our multitude of Kentucky Derby festivals, from the Balloon Glow and Race to Thunder and the Pegasus Parade, just tons of fun, family-friendly options for entertainment in our region. In fact, our robust arts and organizations and unique mix of festivals and events has really given our city a lot of recognition on the national stage in the past few years. So for instance, Travel and Leisure Magazine has named us one of America's top 20 cultured cities. Time Magazine says that we're a top 10 music scene destination in the United States, which is pretty awesome. And then the Huffington Post has named us a top 10 up and coming city that everyone should be visiting now. So those are just a few of our accolades. We have so many accolades when it comes to cost of living and livability and food and beverage scene, but this is just some of our national recognition that we're getting from our arts and our culture. So if history and theater are more of your vibe, we also have you covered there as well. We have an abundance of museums in our region, all of which are family friendly and easily accessible, and quite honestly, quite affordable as well. Some of the more popular ones for both tourists and residents alike would be the Speed Art Museum, Kentucky Science Center, Muhammad Ali Center, Louisville Slugger, and then the Fraser History Museum as well. And our theater scene is just as robust. We've got Actors Theater of Louisville, the Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts, and Commonwealth Theater, just to name a few. Also, Fund for the Arts has a Culture Pass offered to families in the greater Louisville region with children aged, a couple of months to 21. They give them access to participate in arts and cultural activities provided by nearly 50 venues, free of charge during the summer months. And this Culture Pass gives families ample opportunities to explore new concepts and find several adventures to keep young people engaged in learning throughout those summer months. And then we also, this is a pretty cool thing. It's an app called Louisville Arts Link, and it can be downloaded on the App Store or the Play Store, but essentially it serves as a calendar of the arts and lists all different types of upcoming events and shows and performances that are happening in the greater Louisville region. It is a free app and it is run by the Fund for the Arts, but I would highly recommend you guys download this app as well because it does serve as a great resource. Also, when we get into nightlife options in our region are aplenty. We've got everyone's flavor here. We've got dance bars, LGBTQ bars, various dive bars and honky tonks, if that's your interest. Tons of bourbon bars and cocktail lounges. We've got restaurants and bars with live music and games. You name it, we've got it. In non-COVID times, our bars are typically open till 4 a.m., obviously depending on each establishment, but that is not the case right now. But actually, fun fact, on the Derby, most establishments are open until 6 a.m. And then with that being said, we also have over 120 live music venues as well, which for a city of our size is pretty impressive. So with that being said, getting into nightlife, I would love to turn it over to Emily with Yelp. Emily is the Senior Community and Marketing Director for Yelp Louisville. She's going to talk to us about the food and beverage scene and some current trends she's noticing in that space, and just really going to give us a great overview and breakdown of our food and culture scene here. So with that being said, Emily, I've got control of the slides, but let me know when you're ready for me to move to the next slide and we can go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Well, hello everybody. Thank you so much for having me on to talk today about one of my favorite things, which is our local food scene. I'm also a city champ, which is kind of fun to get to come back and talk about this. I think I did this presentation for the first time a few years ago and then got to go through the city champ training myself. So I've kind of seen it from both ends. And yeah, it's a great program. I've been contacted by a few people and I've talked on the phone to a few people who found me through the City Champ site. And so yeah, thanks for being a part of this and hopefully helping more people discover Louisville. If you want to go to the next slide. So kind of echoing, what we just kind of heard, some accolades to kind of keep in the back of your mind. And I don't know if you'll get this presentation after it's over, but all these links go to where these all came from, but top 10 food city, best food scene. Louisville's definitely, their status as a food city has been growing. And here's hoping that continues to grow after pandemic and all that stuff is over. But I think more than anything, what we've seen through all this is just how creative, especially our food scene is, our restaurants. And that creativity was kind of reflected in some of these accolades, and now it's being reflected in just how our restaurants are trying to adapt to everything that's been going on. If you want to go to the next slide. So some reasons why our food scene rocks. Bourbonism, that's, I think Mayor Fisher kind of coined that, but the bourbon craze has taken over a lot more than just bourbon itself. So many of our restaurants are on the Bourbon Trail and use it in the food, are inspired by it, even onto the our beer scene. We have a lot of bourbon barrel aged items that are coming up, and people are coming here because they're excited about bourbon, to learn more about it and to kind of experience all that it has to offer, which a lot of times includes our restaurants and everything else kind of going on around it. A hub for food manufacturing. We have, well, for the moment, I guess we have Papa John's, and this goes to the next one, the global restaurant chain headquarters. But also there's some big food manufacturers. Flavor Man is here, and they do the flavorings for a lot of drinks. And I'm blanking on some of the other ones at the moment, but the Girl Scout cookies are made here. Global restaurant chain headquarters, you have Yum Brands. Great location. Louisville is within, I forget the exact statistic, but a day's drive to, I think it's like 2/3 of the population of the country. And so right in the middle of everything, which also kind of goes with UPS having a hub here. And so we get a lot of fresh seafood there, and other food that comes through here. It's easy for us to get, maybe more so than some other cities. Culture, I think, is a really big draw for us. Other cities are, might be a more manufacturing city or, more focused on kind of exports that come out of it. And I think culture is one of our big exports. And then we also have Sullivan University here, I think is a big thing too. A lot of chefs go through that program and some of them fall in love with Louisville and end up staying here, or they graduate from there, they go to bigger cities, and then they end up coming back here because they remember it and they love it. And so I think we kind of benefit from that knowledge in the city as well. Go to the next slide. Notable dishes. So hopefully everybody's kind of knows some of these, but a hot brown, which is what you can see on the left, as an open-faced turkey sandwich. And Derby pie, our first Saturday in May pie, if you don't want to be sued, is a chocolate pecan pie, Majescas, which are named after a ballerina, and really good ones you can find at Muth's. Also, Art Eatables has a bourbon Majesca that's amazing. Benedictine, which is a cucumber spread. Rolled oysters. I've never actually had a rolled oyster. Someday. Those are some of the big dishes when people come. I'm a huge fan of Majescas. I love that. I think one of the last times I gave this talk, I brought Majescas to everybody. So if I ever see you in the street and I tell me, and I owe you a Majesca. And some other, things that I guess are not Louisville centric, but we kind of claim burgoo, pimento cheese, especially around Derby time. A lot of people talk about these. Even though I would just, a lot of people think of these dishes. I feel like these are kind of our Kentucky Derby of dishes. But our food scene has so much more to offer than just these as well. If you go to the next slide. Some current trends, and then some of these have been around for a little bit, but new takes on plant-based food. For example, this is a Farby burger that was made by Morel's, which is closed and kind of revamping itself. A take on an Arby burger, farm to table and what I've been seeing with that is shifting more towards sustainability. While it kind of started with just kind of focusing on the farms, now it's about eliminating waste, using all of maybe the plant versus just making sure the plant comes locally. Barn 8 in Crestwood is really, really good about this. And they're kind of farm to the table all the way because they do have farms right around there. And then they will, use their creativity to use as much of each product as possible. Mocktails, there's several kind of startups. There's like the Louisville Mocktail Project and some other ones that are making non-alcoholic beverages, mixed beverages, popular and delicious. Boba, I feel like this is a trend, obviously it's been going around the whole country, and it's come here. And then cheese and charcuterie. We have lots of fun. Finally, Louisville is getting some cheese shops. Harvey's Cheese opened up in Logan Street Market. And we were going to have an event, a virtual event with Cultured, which just opened up on Main Street a couple of days ago, but we had to, due to a family emergency on their end, rescheduled. So now this is going to be Monday night. So if you are interested in cheese, I encourage you to RSVP to that event. But we're going to be making a cheese board and learn all about how to put different cheeses and whatnot together. So I'm very excited that cheese in general is really taking off in Louisville. And some other trends. I love your comment, Christine. Some other trends I feel like we're seeing mostly because of COVID-19, takeout cocktails. Thankfully, the ABC in the state has relaxed the guidelines on this, kind of seeing some of these pouches, adult Capri Sun type things. Union Game Yard over in Southern Indiana and Jeffersonville has really great alcoholic pouches for takeout. They have boba in them. They're really neat. I just came from pregame coffee. We did an event there, kind of takeout event today, and they're doing that too with their cocktails. El Mundo does really great kind of margaritas to go. So that's one trend I'm hoping sticks around a bit, as well as inventive outdoor dining, especially given the shutdowns that are starting back tomorrow for our restaurants. It's been exciting to kind of see businesses not only take over their parking lots and making it comfortable to eat outside, but also, the plastic domes that like 8 Up has on their rooftop. Cultured also has some of those on their porch, their patio. But pregame today, I was talking to him, and he's going to kind of reconfigure his sidewalk. So that's something else that's kind of exciting and different, and everything going on. Granted, probably in November we wouldn't be looking to eat outside, but that's kind of where we are. So might as well make it interesting and fun. And some things hopefully to come. These last 3 come from Yelp puts out a trend report at the end of every year for the coming up year, and this hasn't even been released yet. So you kind of get an inside look at some of these. And so Berea tacos, which I haven't really had. It's a special meat in the tacos. If anybody has had these before, feel free to put in the chat what you thought of them. Similarly, Japanese sandwiches, which look like they have like puffy bread. That's hopefully going to be coming up. And then hot honey, I've seen this a little bit. I know the Eagle has hot honey that they put on their fried chicken. Fried chicken was another one, which I felt weird putting fried chicken on Current Trends just because it's Kentucky and Louisville. But I don't know if fried chicken is having a bit of a moment, from hot chicken to kind of other types as well. If you want to go on to the next slide. So some things that are on the horizon, inventive new businesses. One big focus that I've had this year is we've done a series of virtual events called Yelp's Hot and New in Lieu, and they're all with new businesses or businesses that have pivoted since COVID. And just the creativity that's out there. There's so much talk about businesses that are closing, but there's several businesses that are opening. One of the first events we did was with Picnics in the Lou, which she started a pop-up picnic business. And so if you want to have like a small outdoor COVID safe, experience, like baby shower, or just a date night out, she'll kind of, do it up for you in a very safe way. Farm Plus House Louisville kind of took the farmers market concept and made it online. And so using an app, they work with lots of local farms and food makers of various types. And so you can go on there and order the produce you want at a farmer's market, and you can then have it delivered or pick it up from them. And so, that's been kind of neat to see just how places are adapting and trying to make the most of it. Levin Bakery is another one. I believe they're married, husband and wife pair that got laid off. And so they're both chefs and bakers. And so they created a bakery out of their home, and, it's online based, and they put out a menu every week of what they're going to have. You order it and they can deliver, you can pick up. And so I'm kind of excited to see that kind of grow and develop. Some things are already here, but are growing and getting better and better. Logan Street Market, I feel a bit bad for them because I feel like they're really getting going, and they still are. And then COVID hit. But I think this is going to get even bigger. This kind of whole concept of having all these small, restaurants, mini restaurants and stores in one space like that you get to try out. I know that some of the places that went in there use it as almost like a testing ground for a future brick and mortar business. So if you're bored with local food, that could be a place to go to find something new and different. Nulu Marketplace, just got to kind of experience this last weekend during Nulu's Jingle Fest. It's similar a little bit to kind of Logan Street Market, where you have, several businesses kind of all together, even though this is open air. The Craftery, which is Louisville's first like DIY bar, opened up there. West 6 has its Nulu spot. Emmy Squared, and when I was there last, the owner of Emmy Squared also owns, there's a sandwich shop, a chocolate shop, and a speakeasy going in over there that are going to open in the next couple months. And I got a mini tour of it. So that's becoming breweries. We've had so many, even during COVID. Gallant Fox opened up. 1020 opened up as well. Atrium Brewing. And so excited to kind of see how those develop and kind of how each of these breweries come up with their own like niche of what they're doing. And then more ethnic diversity. I think, there's been, so many interesting restaurants opening up that are really broadening our scope of food. It's not just, Southern food, like people would kind of think Louisville food is all about. Eden and Kissy, which opened up a very small storefront over in the Buttrell area, is amazing. Love that. District 6. I just got their takeout the other day, and if you haven't had it yet, I highly recommend it. And so I'm excited to kind of seeing some more of those type of restaurants opening up. If you want to go to the next slide. So most review restaurants, if you're gonna kind of look through here, so here, these are ranked as of last night. It was a little bit sad to take out some that are closed temporarily and permanently since I last put this list together. But usually it surprises people to see that like Doc Crow's is still holds a rank as the most reviewed Louisville restaurant on up. But if people are looking, if you have people contact you that are coming to Louisville for a weekend and are looking for great places to go, kind of get an idea of Louisville restaurants, here are some good ones that you can point them to. I'm gonna go to the next slide. Also, when you get these slides, you can click through on these links, and it'll pull up, the ranked kind of restaurants in these areas. This can be particularly helpful if you have somebody who knows that they, have to move to the South End, or they really want to live in Southern Indiana versus, over here in Louisville. So keep this handy. And if you ever lose, it's really easy to go on the app and just kind of put in restaurants and put in your area, and I'll show some great spots around those as well. And then some other foodie spots you can click through. Farmers markets, granted, some of these are changing this, hopefully post-COVID, we can get back to restaurants for large groups. I kept this in here just because sooner rather than later, hopefully we get back to be able to do this stuff. But restaurants that deliver, you can order delivery via the Yelp app. Also, takeout. And one thing that's come up since COVID, you can go on the Yelp app and see how or not just restaurants, but businesses in general, the safety precautions that they're taking. Businesses kind of can put on there what measures are taking, and then also it's voted on. People who use the app and who go to the restaurants, if you check into places, it'll ask like, are they requiring masks? Are they wearing gloves? Is there social distancing? And so if you have questions about if a business is safe to go to, you can check on Yelp and kind of see what precautions they're taking. If you want to go to the next one, I'm looking Casa Grama. Yes, that is amazing. I've only eaten there once. I need to go back though. And then lastly, some other tips and tricks. Yelp is more than restaurants. You can get movers, home services. Request a quote is very helpful for that. One thing, the biggest sector we're seeing growing on the app, and this was even before pre-COVID, was reviews and searches for home and local services. And so there's a wealth of knowledge on the app and on the site for these. If you're needing, if whoever you're helping needs a contractor, a mover, a plumber, mechanic, and then you can also, for a lot of them, request a quote right via the app, which is really nice. You can get it taken care of quickly. There are, oops, I don't think this was the updated one, but Yelp collections. So their collections is something that Yelp has been looking into more. And so if you go on the Yelp app at the bottom, you'll see a collections tab. We've been putting a lot of stuff up there, lists of Black-owned businesses, for example, women-owned businesses that have outdoor dining. I'm working on a list now of outdoor heated dining for the wintertime. We just put up one for holiday shopping, whatnot. So if you are in need of, list of businesses around a certain theme, you might be able to find in collections. You can also create your own. So if you keep getting asked for like, what are your favorite restaurants, you can create one and then give them the link instead of putting it all out. And then I think the slide got cut off a little bit, but Yelp events. We also host, now we've gone toward virtual events. And so we've been doing about 2 to 4, last month 6, virtual events a month. They're free to take part in. Sometimes, depending on the type of event, like the one we're doing with Cultured, if you want to purchase a cheese kit or cheese on top of it, you're welcome to, but it's not required. The next, beyond the Cultured event on Monday, we're going to do a beer and popcorn pairing with trivia event coming up beginning of December with Crowler Catering. Also gonna release soon, we're gonna do an event with George's Sweet Potato Pie Company in Rivulet Pecan Liqueur, where people are gonna learn how to make the sweet potato pecan pie with the pecan liqueur. And so lots of fun stuff like that. Coming up, a way to connect, even though we can't connect as well as or as much as we wish we could. And then we also have our Yelp Elite Squad, who are our most kind of active and influential on the site. I see Jess Anderson, who's in this group, and she's Yelp Elite. So shout out to her. And in the pre-COVID times, we would have special events for them a few times a month. Now we've been doing a lot of kind of perks and weeks for them. Over the weekend for Nulu Jingle Fest, we had a special perk where you could go. We made these special bags that include tickets for a free beer from West 6, a free appetizer from Emmy Squared, and a lot of other kind of cool things from the Nulu neighborhood just for our Yelp Elite. And so if you're interested in that, yelp.com/elite, so you can get more information and connect with people that way as well. Whew, I think that's it. I think that's all my squads or my slides. Here's my contact information, EmilyH@Yelp.com, also Louisville@Yelp.com. Come straight to me. And if you ever come across anybody with questions, feel free to reach out, and I'm always happy to help. And if anybody has questions now, I'm also happy to answer them too.
Thank you so much, Emily, for your presentation. We are in a very strange time right now with COVID and with, the upcoming restaurant restrictions that will be happening for the next few weeks. But, it's important to remember, guys, that we will be getting back to normal one day. And, Louisville is such a special place because we are a foodie city and we have so many unique and wonderful options. It's for a mid-sized city. It is pretty incredible the breadth of options we have here and how delicious everything is. I mean, I know I'm obviously biased, but when I go to places like Atlanta and Asheville and Columbus and Boston, I'm eating at restaurants and I always compare the food to Louisville. It's not any better than Louisville's food. So I just think now my public service announcement, please get some carry out in the next few weeks. Go to your favorite restaurants. If you want them to exist at the end of this, please get takeout. I know it's not, the cheapest option when you can make something at home, but really show some love to your favorite restaurants during these next probably tough couple of months in the winter. So that's my spiel. But if anyone has any questions for Emily, now would be a great opportunity.
So I actually have a comment. Hi, Emily. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Actually, me and my wife, we're big foodies, and I think we're lucky enough to end up in a mid-sized city with such a great food scene. I mean, we really travel the world for food. I mean, we go specifically and travel to eat at places and destinations just for the food. And I have to say, like, Louisville as a place has, beyond blown our minds. The one thing that I would make a comment, and I wish this was doable, was if Louisville did the same thing the bigger cities did during their like food week or whatever. For some reason, the restaurants that participate in Louisville are not typically the top end restaurants. Like you go to Miami and you have their food week and you have like the best, $100 per person restaurants put on the menu for like $20-$30 so that everybody can try them. Not everybody can afford to pay $100 every time to sit to these places. And the restaurant week here in Louisville never included, say, DECA, Butchertown Grocery, Harvest, Proof, places like Barn 8. Again, like the places, Mayan Cafe, the places you would pay like $60, say, which is considered, the higher end of what you would pay in Louisville, or like, like 610 Magnolia, or previously, what was the other Southern Fusion place that they owned? That closed, became
Silver Dollars
No,
temporarily
it was under Actors
Milkwood?
Theater. Milkwood.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So yeah, places like that. I wish there was somehow a way to reach out to these people and tell them, you know what, during Restaurant Week, let's all pitch in. Create a $25 menu so that people can actually go and check their food out. It'd be a great idea.
I feel like a lot of restaurants are because I mean they have to be creative right now. I know right now we have like Pizza Week going on, and Burger Week was before that, and there was a few, I'm trying to remember, on the Burger Week lineup that I was really impressed to see take part.
Was it like Pizza Week, for example? Like I was hoping to see Mazza Pie on there. Like, that's a very unique pizza. You want to see the Post, for example. You want to see that's a unique style pizza.
I'm as someone who tries to pitch businesses a lot to do events. I 100% hope that they kind of get on too. But I feel like it seems like a lot of businesses are thinking more outside the box. I'm hoping, even if we're not seeing yet, we'll see some of those restaurants like that branch out to do that. You can't just rest on your laurels, especially right now. You have to do different things to kind of reach out to businesses. So hopefully they get on board. And if not, a lot of these weeks are and different things going on around restaurants are a great way to learn about new places that you might not have, everyone, knows about the big restaurants in town, or, some of them, but to kind of discover a place you didn't know about before, that's the fun part, I think, of some of these different restaurant weeks, is get to expose to something new.
Sure.
Oh, and yeah, and Jess, I see in the comment, Chef in a Box Lou, they have been getting some amazing, like some of the big restaurants in town to participate in that benefits apron, 100%. They've been getting some really great ones, so check that out.
Yeah, so that it's $50 and you get a meal and a $25 gift card. And the meals change each week. You have to pre-order by, I think, Wednesday or something, and then pick up on Thursday, but they sell out quickly. There's only 50 of them.
Well, awesome. Emily, thank you again so much for speaking to us and talking about Louisville's food scene, one that we all hold very, very dearly. So thank you for that. But guys, we are rounding the corner here. We are near the end of the presentation. I just have a couple of last slides. Wanted to talk to you guys about kind of rules of engagement moving forward. So first and foremost, personal safety is always a first priority and always something to keep in mind as you go out on your City Champs duties. Again, wanted to reiterate that no selling when engaging with prospective new residents. Keep business and your City Champs work separate, please. And then also we do ask that you respond to these individuals in a timely manner. If they email you, don't let them email sit in your inbox for a week. Try to get back to them within at least 24 hours. That would be great. And if they do want to meet, for virtual coffee or in person when we're, allowed to be with people again, if you can make it work, we ask that you try to make that work if possible. But in terms of next steps for me, you guys have all submitted an application. So in the coming days, I'm going to be typing up a personal bio for you guys that are going to live on our Live in Lou website. So if you haven't submitted a headshot, if you could email that to me, I would really appreciate it. I will put my email in the chat again, but expect to hear from me in the coming days with your bio that I'm going to use your application to kind of craft a fairly short bio about yourselves. And then if you could also, send me your headshot and your desired contact methods, that would be wonderful. And then we also have a Facebook group for City Champs. So you'll be getting an invite on Facebook in the coming days. We bring our City Champs together in a little community. It's a lot easier than having a group me chat or something like that. And that's not necessary, but we do have a Facebook group. So be on the lookout for that.
Full disclosure though, the person who used to work with us and left on Tuesday did that. So I have to figure out how to do that. So it may be a couple extra days.
Yeah, give us some grace. We also are going to be sending a questionnaire to all of you after this. We want to make sure that our training moving forward is as strong as it can be and as informative as possible. So we welcome all positive and negative feedback when we send out that questionnaire. So please be on the lookout for that. And then lastly, on our website, liveandlou.com, we have a shop tab in the top right corner where you can buy Live and Lou swag if you're interested in being decked out in Live and Lou logos. It's right in time for the holidays as well. So I would encourage you to check out our website, liveandlou.com/shop. And we've got a lot of different things on there for you to purchase, all reasonably priced. We've got, shirts and hats and mugs and koozies and bumper stickers, you name it. So lots of fun stuff. And it's a good gift for the holidays as well. So with that being said, guys, really, if you don't have any questions for me, I think our training has concluded. You guys have passed with flying colors, but does anyone have any last minute questions or comments?
Can I say something really quickly, Bradley?
Of course.
Bradley's also going to reach out to you and ask for your mailing address, because as a certified city champ, we're going to send you one of our Live and Lou pins so you can have your special designation. He's not trying to track you down. We're just going to put something in the mail to you.
Yeah, it's like your Kentucky Derby Festival pin, but it Live and Lou, and you can sport it whenever you'd like. So thanks, guys, again so much. I know it's a long training, especially virtual, but you guys have been great and really appreciated everyone and your participation. So you'll be hearing from me in the coming days, but in the meantime, enjoy the rest of your afternoon and try to get outside. It looks beautiful out there.